Okay, I think I started recording. Is it recording now? Okay.
I believe yes.
Okay. I'm Tolulope Mishewe. So I'll be talking about the individual presentation which Gallup, which says Gallup behavioral. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing together. It seems very small from my side. Okay. Sorry, can you still see the screen?
I can, yes.
Okay. Sorry, just give me a moment. Sorry, this assignment, I've done it before and then something happened with my computer and everything went away. So I just completed it. So I'm just having a bit of difficulty in it, but I'll sort it out now. Just give me like 2 minutes and then I would
take your time to look, don't worry.
Okay, now I'm with you. So the individual assignment, the ADI Valley 2012 refers to Gallup behavioral economic research, suggesting that behavioral-based project management will lead to greater success of projects, especially given that the 2 of the 3 main reasons project fail are related to people or change factors, which I saw that as behavioral change and project management. And then reading our work, we talked about project failure. She talked about project failure. And then she went on to describe the reasons why projects fail. She talked about according to Gallup, she says that there's necessity in quality management and scheduling budgets. So, and then she termed that in 3 different parts, which is the technical, individual, and stakeholder. But as regards the question, we're going to be talking more about the individual, which is the project leadership, scope management, and communication, and then the stakeholder management. And that was more talked about in with the follow-up with Joanna. And Gallup also talked about why our team members driven to achieve success, which she pointed out some views, which is do project team members realize exactly what is required of them? Are they certain about their roles? Are team members driven to produce results? Are they invested in the organization and team? Do team members show justice, respect, and confidence to project stakeholders? Do members of the team feel like they can safely express their opinions and it will be heard? Do stakeholders have confidence in the project team? Do they believe the team executes well? Is there someone who motivates and embraces team members' efforts? Do the members of the team get along well? Do they value each other quality and achieving the project goals? Would stakeholders continue to use the project team service if they have the option to? So looking at that, sorry, I think, okay. Looking at that Gallup said, and then we went on to Gallup findings. She talked about project managers accept their work scope, time, and cost constraints. And then she talked about the fact that they're divided on the 3, which is the project team engagement, project team member engagement, the stakeholder engagement, and optimizing performance, which also has to do with a behavioral-based approach to project management. When you work with people's emotions, when you have to do projects, when you're not just when it's not just the traditional way of project management, putting people's emotions into consideration while you're working to get a better result. And then to buttress the point of Gallup, I searched for the stakeholder engagement diagram, which says that we should select and recruit team. And that also talks about the PCM, and the PCM is the people-centric project management. That actually is the learning about and understanding how people function in certain projects, both how they communicate on how to handle difficult matters in the delivering of a project. And then it says that the study and develop, which is the culture. You need to study and develop the areas in which you're doing and the people you're working with. Then motivate team, keeping in mind emotional factors, more about the impact of motivation. You know, when you keep in mind their emotions, you're able to understand that at this particular time, this is what is acceptable and this is what is not acceptable in some of the things you do. And then periodical introspect, which is behavioral responses of the team members. So Joanna Rothman, in addition with Gallup's findings, Joanna Rothman says we should go with the agile approach, which has had disagreements, which many agile approach projects had disagreements with their managers. Then it says that what if instead of change management, the team and members should engage with change? How will staff, mission, and organization be different if you optimize change? And then it says many projects use stage gate, which is a serial life cycle. It rates the gradual life cycles prior to agile projects, particularly on a stage gate or other serial strategy needed to handle the risk that inevitably arose as late adjustments were found because of the threats the project was in danger not to be completed. And then, following up with Jonathan Rothman's article, she cited a case study of Frank's organization change process. And then the Frank organizational change process says, as Frank's organization adopted a gradual life cycle, such as stage implementation, it continued to employ a change management process. Frank defined their stage execution transition process as follows. We no longer add freezes, which was a positive thing. Instead, as we introduced each feature collection, we conducted design and code tests, which completed one feature set and began the next. We used the change control board to get approval to make improvements when we found specifications that influenced the first feature collection. And it says the CCB only met once a week and had no knowledge of the commodity they were turned into a rubber stamp. As a project manager, I used my best judgment to ensure that we didn't have something that didn't fit in this release. Frank discovered that a CCB wasn't very useful in determining risk. He handled the cost of not completing the task as a project manager. Then Joanna's recommendations were that we should use the agile approaches changes the risk equation. The team member can engage in the release risk by releasing as often as possible, at least every day as an example, and the product person can manage the product risk in 2 days. The first is by managing the backlog for change, and the second is refining the roadmap based on customer and team information. And then we have the agile change approach, which is the local backlog and roadmap changes. And then we have the second one, which is frequent releasing creates more innovations possible. Then we have the agile approaches optimized for change. All these are talking about the agile kind of process, which Joanna Rothman, which she says was the reason why there are behavioral changes in the organization. And then we move on to the benefits of, we move on to the 5 benefits of Agile. It gives better product quality. You have customer satisfaction. You have more control on projects. You have the risk reduction, and then you have faster ROI, that is returns on investment. Returns on investment, and then the benefits of Agile by the same author, which to buttress the other diagram that was shown. It says that Agile practices inspire those concerned, foster transparency, promote concept diversity, allow for early release of incentives, and promote performance development. Agile can be successful in promoting culture transition, which is crucial to the success of most development programs. Since improvements are gradual and progressive rather than transformative, as a result, it can improve client and user engagement. The client and user engagement is part of what Gallup actually said too. And then the second question, which is the bone of contention in this project, which says that how do you suggest managers may adopt more innovative approaches in their team? After looking at Joanna Rothman's approach and then Gallup's findings, we're able to take Agile from Joanna Rothman and the behavioral-based approach by Gallup. So both of them are talking about the same thing. The Agile approach is talking about the client and user engagement, while the other one is talking about team member and stakeholder engagement. Team members engagement. Yes, okay. Team members engagement. And then we're going to be looking at the stakeholder engagement, which is one of the reasons why that actually helps in managing managing innovative approaches in a team, which is stakeholders. Then we look at who are stakeholders? Stakeholders is anyone that has a stake in the company, be here the one who puts money for projects to be done, the owner of the project, even the common cleaner is also a stakeholder in a company. And then we looked at engagement, which signifies that all things we might have to do with the stakeholders, that is engaging everyone all together, putting all that they have to, putting all in place, which is their emotions, their putting all their emotions in place and understanding their behavioral approach in projects. So you talk about the stakeholder engagement should not be considered a distinct task from the real project management, and it should not be outsourced or worse still treated as a role reserved for public relations or marketing teams in most situations, because the mistake most people make is they outsource, it's being outsourced. You look at them as an outsider. But when you look at them more as an insider, and then you look at the fact that their input is also very relevant, it helps you with having a good innovative project management, because once they bring in their contributions and they see that it is viable for you, they tend to want to do more. And then I thought we are looking at the stakeholder engagement and stakeholder management. You have to at the same time be able to manage your stakeholders, that is their processes and organization, that is quality and scope. You'll be able to manage that. And then while you're managing that, you're able to engage them, that is relationship and influence. Relationship and influence because of the resources and the risk that follows afterwards. And then we look at the effective stakeholder engagement, responsiveness, materiality, and completeness. You think strategically, that is, you map out ideas, you identify issues, you prioritize steps, and then you move to analyze and plan. Once you move to analyze and plan, you review your progress, you learn up from others. Everybody is able to bring their thoughts and ideas to the table. And then you strengthen the engagement capacities. That is strengthening the ability to respond to an issue. Like most times, when we have lectures in the seminars, most lecturers are always wanting to ask, do you have any question? Do you have anything to say? That is like engaging, because you believe that feedback is not complete until, sorry, communication is not complete until you get a feedback. So that is how you strengthen the engagement capacities, and then you design the process and engage. While you have gotten your feedbacks, while you have gotten everything that needs to be gotten, and then you need to design the process and engage the stakeholders, identifying the most effective engagement approach. You look at the one that is very viable, you look at the one that is necessary to be changed, and then you do that. And then the last, which is your act, review, and report. Planning and follow-up activities, ensuring learning, reviewing the management, and assuring your stakeholders that everything is going to be all right, and then that you have them in mind. Then my conclusion says that this shows and proves that the place of the stakeholder is very necessary in innovative approaches in teams and organizations, because you are able to start, that is the engagement strategy. You set the vision, you're able to define it, that is stakeholder mapping. You're able to prepare for it, which is focused on the long-term goals to drive the organization. Then you talk about the engagement, you conduct engagement itself, you ensure that everyone is on the same page. And then the action plan, you draw out the action plan, you act on what has been, what has been said. And then we talk about the stakeholder engagement platform. For us to have for the group to have innovative teams, we need to engage in the stakeholder engagement platform, because there are a lot to lose when we don't have an engagement platform where people can actually state what they believe is right and what they believe is necessary, what the company needs to change and what they don't need to change, what needs to be added and what needs to be taken out of it. So that is my presentation, and you have the references as follows.
Thank you very much, Tolulope. Julia, I would ask a couple of questions, if you don't mind. So, Tolulope, you said you discussed in probably in the first half of your presentation the benefits of agile project management.
Yes.
And you painted a very positive picture of agile. Are there any limitations of this methodology?
Of course, there are limitations of the methodology of agile.
Then before you try to answer that, why didn't you cover them if of course there are?
Oh, I didn't do that. I just didn't think it was necessary to have so many slides, because the deeper I go, the more research I found, and then having to put all that might actually have longer slides than this.
Okay, this is interesting answer, because it takes us to the second question. So you said that you couldn't discuss agile in more detail. Then why did you decide to discuss agile? What's the connection between agile project management and behavioral based project management?
Okay, agile. I was able to bring out agile because that was what the author, that is Gallup, that was what she was talking about in the article she wrote about Once More for Change, one of those articles. So she was actually talking about the agile process, while the other one was talking about.
My understanding is that you're trying to cover innovations based on behavioral innovations, right? So as you just said, agile is a process-based.
Yes.
So my question was the connection between agile project management as a process-based methodology and behavioral-based innovations in project management.
Okay, you know that part of the benefits of agile is that it states that it can actually improve client and user engagement. When you talk about client and user engagement, client and user, they as well fall under the stakeholder management. So that is the connecting point between the behavioral and the agile for me. That was why I put the two together to make the stakeholder engagement.
Okay, great. Does that mean traditional project management methodologies don't engage users and other stakeholders?
It does, but that's not my focus. My focus was based on the article that I read, which pointed out agile, and the other one talked about the behavioral approach. Those were the two things I picked out and I was ready to talk about.
Okay, can you please take us to the previous slide, please?
The one before that.
The conclusion one.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you can please just again explain what the conclusion means.
Okay, my conclusion is that since it shows that it's like I wrote, it shows and proves that the place of a stakeholder is very necessary in innovative approaches in teams and organization. When you look at an organization and when the stakeholders are given free hands to give in their ideas and to give in their input when it has to do with change, you would find out that a lot of things are involved, which the step one states that engagement strategy, you set the vision and level of ambition for future engagement and review past engagements. And then the second one, it takes you talk about the stakeholder mapping, which define criteria of identifying and prioritizing stakeholders and select engagement mechanisms. The third one is the preparation, which allows you focus on long-term goals to drive the approach, determine the logistics for the engagement and set the rules. While the fourth one is the engagement proper, which allows you to conduct the engagement itself, ensuring all things necessary. And the fifth one, which is the action plan, is that you identify opportunities from feedback and define actions.
Okay, thanks to Lolope. That's all from me. Thanks for your answers.
Thank you. Ma'am.
Tololope,
Yes, ma'am.
You said when you started discussing Joanna Rothman's work, many agile projects had disagreements with their managers. I wonder if you can explain what that means, please.
Sorry, ma'am. I didn't quite get you. What did you say, please?
You had a slide where you had Joanna Rothman's work referenced early on. And you wrote, many agile projects had disagreements with their managers. I'd like to know what that means.
Okay, it was part of what I read as regards agile projects, but that wasn't exactly my pickup point. My pickup point, I was just trying to explain agile in itself, how she explained it. But my pickup point was for the client and user engagement, which agile had, and connected with the behavioral approach.
Okay, thank you. So when you're a project manager, how are you going to innovate in your teams? What's your takeaway from this?
My takeaway from this is engaging stakeholders. Like normally, in most most project managers look at stakeholders as outsiders. They fail to realize that they are part of the company as well. Because when you talk about stakeholders, there are people that have stakes in the company. A worker, an employee also is a stakeholder in the company. So for me, I believe that just talking about the stakeholders, you're putting the employees' emotions, you're putting their behavioral pattern into consideration whenever a project is being put out for delivery.
So you're arguing the stakeholders are part of your team?
Yes, ma'am. Stakeholders are part of the team, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And you didn't show us any references at the end of your presentation. I'm on slide 20 of 22.
I did, ma'am. It's right here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right. And you don't have Hardy Valley or Rothman there.
They're all there.
You used those, didn't you? Yeah.
They are there, ma'am.
Are they?
Just quick comment, Tolulope. Most of your references, if not all of them, are online websites. This is something you should try to avoid at master level, because you should try to rely on credible sources. Credible sources usually are peer-reviewed journal papers, authoritative textbooks. So you should try to avoid using online resources. So take this as feedback for your future assignments.
Okay, thank you, sir. But there's references. Some of them are journals.
Which ones?
Well, you've just told me Hardy Valley is there, and it's not Tolulope. So the slide I'm looking at doesn't have that journal article there.
Oh, sorry, I think. I told you I had issues with the previous one I did. My computer went bad, and then everything I just had to put this one up between yesterday and this morning. So
yes,
I'm sorry about
you
that.
can understand my frustration when you say yes, something is there, and I can see it's not, can't you?
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, well, we need to finish now, but you will be getting your individual feedback from both of us.
Okay.
If you can stop recording, download your recording and upload it into Moodle, please, along with your slides. I'd like to say thank you for your presentation, and I hope that your technology problems improve.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye, Tolulope.
Yeah, thank you.